again, here's the official welcome to our masterclass, How to Get Your Spouse Back Without Getting Your Heart Hurt. My name is Heather Choate. I am the co-founder and owner of High Thrive Coaching. And like I was just saying to everyone who joined on a little bit early here, we really like to use the chat throughout this masterclass. So it's not just a dialogue of me talking at you guys. I'm sorry, a monologue. It's actually a dialogue. It's a conversation that we're going to have together. And the more that we, Diego, if you can come on earlier next time, that would help me out a lot. Okay. Because it's hard for me to do it when I'm on live. All right. There, now you're panelists. All right, I've got my team members, Diego and Jess, here today, and we might have Sergio come on as well in a little while. We are an international marriage coaching company, and so we just are grateful and honored that you guys are here with us today. So let's dive right in. Again, use the chat if you have any questions throughout the masterclass. There is another section other than the chat called the Q&A. And I encourage you to post your questions there that you want me to answer if they're really specific to, will this work for me? Or can you help me in this kind of situation? And then at the end of the masterclass, I will answer those. The content portion of this is going to be about an hour, and we'll go into that. So awesome. We've already got someone in the Q&A posted a question. And that helps me to be able to see the answer, see the questions. So at the end of the masterclass, I can answer them. If you put them all in the chat, then I might lose them because there's just too many to go through. So that's the best place to put a specific question for me to answer at the end. However, use the chat to answer some of the questions. We're going to go through some exercises together and also be really aware of any aha moments that you might have, like a lightning bulb moment, a flash of lightning, a new awareness, right? Of, wow, I didn't know this up until now, and now I do. And so that's really, really amazing, because with that awareness, now we can start to create some positive change and some positive momentum in our marriage. Does that sound good, guys? Practice. Let's use the chat. Let me know. You guys in? All right, we got Diego, Jeff, Carrie, Jenna says yes. Awesome. Cool, cool. So if you're on your phone, you can swipe up or swipe down to see the chat option. And if you're on desktop, then you have to go to the little menu bar, and sometimes you have to go to where it has 3 dots, and then you'll find the chat option there, okay? Awesome, Phil says sounds good, cool. So today we're gonna talk about a 4-step system. It's a system, it's a process to save your marriage without getting your heart hurt. And this works even if your spouse is completely checked out, even if there's an affair going on, even if there's no communication or very poor communication or surface level communication, right? Even if you're struggling with lack of trust, broken trust on either side, like from you or your husband or your wife. And it works as long as you commit to do exactly what we tell you to do. All right. Now, what's your situation? I want you guys to put in the chat and at least answer yourself. If you don't put it in the chat, if you don't feel comfortable with that, I understand. You can also just message me directly and the panelist instead of all attendees. That's an option as well. That way I see your answer. But put in the chat, which of these is your situation? Are you type couple A? You already have a divorce filed. Your spouse already has a lawyer. They filed for divorce, they're talking about divorce, they're talking about separation, there is a separation already. Maybe you already even are divorced and now you're trying to get back together because you realize, man, I really love this person, I want to be with them, right? So you want to know what to do to cancel the divorce, to stop the separation, right? And get back with you forever. Maybe you're couple B. There's no trust, maybe there's an affair, lots of different trust issues going on. And maybe you can talk to your spouse, but they don't believe what you say or what you do. All right. And then C, I don't know why there's 2 C's on my slide. That's kind of funny, but C would be no communication. And this is where most of us are at, right? We have no communication. We really can't talk without arguing. Maybe there's no communication because there's silent treatment going on, there's stonewalling going on, or maybe it's just really surface level and your spouse doesn't open up and they avoid the deep communication. So I'm going to go over here. I know for me, I've been married 14 years with my husband, Ben. And when our marriage struggles and has struggled in the past, communication is always the first thing to go out the window, right? So Jason says C, Matt Kelly, A and C. Pay attention to this one next. Matt here, Matt Kelly. Phil, C, my wife has given up. She's checked out. Michelle, B and C. Jenna says B fits us most. Elizabeth, A, B, and C. right? Okay, I like this. We just put up a poll here. Thank you, Jess. I'm sure that's what you did. Divorce filed. B, no trust. C, communication. So thanks for doing that. So you guys can answer in the chat, or you can actually answer in the poll as well. Daniel says B and C. Jason, A, B, and C. I think I said that one. Anton, A, B, C. John, B, and C. John Combs, separate. She is living with boyfriend who is controlling, physically and verbally abusive. She must sneak to talk. Wow. All right, let's really, I've got some action steps that you can take here, John, and you're an A. Okay, so we have 92% of you guys have said that there's no communication. So that's definitely something that I want to get you guys help with right away, and make sure it's not just information that we're talking about today. It really is transformation. So I'd love to be able to give you guys what we call our 7 proven conversation starters. This is something that me and my partner created to help get communication going in the right direction, especially if it's really closed off, if it's really tense, if you're really not understanding each other. This is a guide that you guys can use, and literally, like, word by word, exactly what to say. In fact, you can even copy and paste it, right? If you're like having a text message or an email correspondence or something, and you can even use it, of course, in real conversation as well. And so I'd love to give this to you guys, and I'm only going to give it to those that stay to the end of the masterclass. I'll have it emailed to you. I always take like a screenshot of those that stay to the end, and then I'll have that emailed to you, and you guys will get it tomorrow. So this is a really powerful guide to get that communication going and really start to increase some understanding. Carrie, you said mine's a little different. We were supposed to get married in October, but he's saying he's moved out, so mostly C, right? We do help couples, even if they're not married, right? But you're committed to each other, and now your relationship's struggling and you're wanting to turn that around. So really pay attention to the next steps that I talk about here. All right, so who are we? This is about you guys. It's not about us, right? But what are our qualifications? Why are we, even, someone that you might want to listen to, right? So my name is Heather Cho. My partner is Mark Johnston and Sergio, my partners, I should say. And we have been doing this for 5 years and are the fastest online growing marriage resource. Why is that? Well, sure, we've been seen on CBS, Fox, First for Women, blah, blah, blah. That's great. But what really matters to you is that we've helped now tens of thousands of students globally to turn their marriage around. And I believe results don't lie. We have an almost 93% success rate, which is incredible. You'll never find like a therapist or a counselor that says, yeah, 93% chance that you're going to get great results working with me, right? No, they'll never say anything like that, but we can, because we have enough of that results and the data to show that we have a method here that's really standing out to people and helping many, many people just like you to get where they want to be in their marriage. Now, I want to share with you a little bit about my story and what I went through in my own marriage. Good morning, beautiful souls. Heather here. How are you doing today? I want to ask you a question and see if you relate to this. If this resonates with you, leave a comment, say me, raise your hand, say, yeah, that I can relate to that. So have you ever hit rock bottom? Have you ever hit that place where you're just like, oh, I don't know if I can keep doing this. I don't know if things could possibly get any worse than this. Are you in that kind of a place right now? I want to share with you 4 years ago when I hit rock bottom. I had gone through cancer treatment at the age of 29 while pregnant with our 6th baby. I had doctors look me in the eyes and tell me, Heather, if you don't abort your baby, you're risking your life. It's not going to end well for you. You're not going to make it. Well, I proved them wrong. And here I was with this beautiful new baby, but still in the fight for my life. I had to go through chemotherapy and radiation. In the process, my husband and I, we lost our home. We lost our business. We moved up to his parents' land. And we moved into a camper trailer with our 6 children, living in a camper trailer. I'd never felt so humiliated in my life. And I hit this point where I felt like I had lost my health. I lost our home. I lost our business. I lost my friends. I lost my support. And now my husband was turning to his family for emotional support. And I felt like I was losing my marriage. And I remember one night I was cooking spaghetti in our camper trailer. our 6 children around me. And I remember tears just pouring down my face as I'm making this spaghetti. And I'm watching as the tears are falling into the spaghetti. I don't know if I even served it. If I did, I guess we survived. And I just remember thinking, I can't do this anymore. If I lose my marriage, if I lose my husband, I have nothing left. I've already lost everything. And I remember going to him and telling him, Ben, I just need to leave. I can't do this anymore. And it was the first time that either of us had ever said those words. He asked me not to go, and he stood in the camper trailer with tears falling down his face as I got in our Suburban, and I drove away. I left him there, crying with our 6 kids. You want to know how far I made it? 3.2 miles. That was the first time I'd ever left. That was the only time I've ever left. And I watched that mile counter, 0.10 of a mile, 0.2 of a mile, 0.3 of a mile. And again, the tears are just streaming down my face. And I am asking myself, what am I doing? It got to the point where I couldn't see anymore. So I pulled over 3.2 miles. And I'm in a beautiful, incredible sunflower field. And the sunflowers are just beautiful and golden and bright. And it was such a contrast to the darkness that I felt inside myself. In that moment, I asked myself, Heather, is there another way of looking at this? I realized in that moment that if I left this marriage, if I left him, that darkness that was in me, it would stay with me no matter where I went and with whomever I went with. Because that story that I wasn't good enough was what was creating that chaos in my life, was creating that pain. And I realized in that moment that limiting belief was creating all of that circumstance. So can you relate to that? What is the limiting story that is holding you back, that is holding you in pain? When you can release that story, that is when you can find healing and ultimate happiness in your life. All right. So thank you for allowing me to share a little bit about my journey. And I really want you to pay attention to the stories that you have inside yourself that have been keeping you guys stuck in pain and keeping you in the same cycle, maybe week after week or month after month or year after year, and sometimes even decade after decade. And we're also going to talk about our partner's story, because this is a crucial element that most people are missing. And we're going to go deep into this part. They most likely have a really negative interpretation about you, right? And, about us, about our marriage. And so that is where we want to address things, is at that level. And that is how we're going to drastically and radically and quickly be able to turn a marriage situation around from where it is right now to where you really want it to be. So this is something that we came together to create. My partner, Mark Johnston, came from traditional therapy. He did that for about 10 years. And then, of course, I've shared my experience where I came from and really learning how to let go of that own pain inside myself and those negative cycles to transform things. And I've used that same method now with thousands of couples. And so we combined that and we realized, traditional therapy is really great if you're both happy together in your marriage. And maybe you guys have tried therapy and maybe not, but a lot of people think that that's the way to fix a marriage if it's heading in the wrong direction, right? And it's really great if you maybe just got married or if you just have occasional fights. However, traditional therapy really doesn't work in the most kind of extreme cases. We're talking about when there is affairs, when there's major broken trust, when there is, talk of divorce and separation, and they say, I'm done, I want out, there's nothing you can do. Because traditional therapy just simply isn't fast enough to get those results that you need. And when you're in that situation, time really isn't on your side, right? You have to do something quickly. So we came together and started researching, what is it going to take to really bring a couple together when they're in that situation? And we tried all these different kind of methodologies, and we found that most people need to fix one little thing to get their spouse back. And it's something that no one else is talking about, and I'm going to talk about it with you guys today, so that you now know what it is and you can go forward to be able to have that result. So before we begin, I want to do an exercise with you guys. Make sure you put your answers here in the chat so I can custom this time we have together, this masterclass, to you and where you're at right now. Okay, so this is an exercise that we do with all of our clients. It's very, very powerful. I want you to ask yourself these two questions. First, where do I want my marriage to be 3 months from now? Where do I want my marriage to be 3 months from now? If you need to kind of close your eyes and think about it, but 3 months from now, 90 days from now, how do you want to come home at the end of the day? What kind of look do you want to have on your spouse's face? How do you want to sleep at night? What's the feeling that you want to have inside yourself? How do you want to wake up in the morning, right? Maybe it might look like, I want them to end the affair. I want them to come back home. I want them to put their wedding ring back on. I want us to understand each other. I want us to have no more talk about divorce. I want us to feel like we're a team and we're working together. So I'm going to watch your answers here. Jenna says, I want him to choose me. Beautiful. To choose you, to cherish you, right? To respect you, to love you, to be head over heels in love. Lori says, end the affairs, choose me. Okay, there's a theme here. Be happy, trusting, loving, safe. Joel, Tammy, be a team and have a connection. Jason Lopes, 3 months, I'd like to see us back on our path to a future together, whether it's married or dating. All right, Joel, great. Elizabeth, I don't want to be disappointed. I want a partner to be important and make me important. Sorry, it's scrolling fast, so sometimes I have to catch up to where it is. John says, end the affair, come home, sleep, cuddled together. I love that. Matt Kelly, I want my marriage to be stronger than ever and God to be the center of our marriage. Beautiful. I want to be the best parents and spouses, right? What kind of example you want to be for your children if you have children, right? Stop the divorce process and her wearing her ring again. Beautiful, beautiful. Eric, I want her to be a team and love me. So now, Eric, what would that really feel like for her to say, I'm a team, I'm going to work on this with you. I am so in love with you. Guys, think back to when you're first married, you're first dating, you're first falling in love, and how good that felt and how good it will feel to have that feeling back again. Jason, no more fighting, trust each other, better communication. Michelle, I want to feel happy and connected. I want my husband to love me and express that he does. TM, I literally do not know what I want. Maybe to be back in the household and have all sex missed in the past 5 years and him to be present mentally. Yeah, so you do know. You just got to give it a little bit of time and you do know what you're needing and what you're wanting there. So really good job. I understand this can be hard and challenging for us when we're in a lot of pain or when we're in a lot of struggle, but it's crucial that we know where we want to go and define what kind of marriage we want. You guys are worthy of it. You're deserving of it. You deserve to be happy. You deserve to have an incredible relationship. Okay. Let's see. I don't want to miss anyone. John, I want her to touch me and trust me and be fulfilled in all aspects of life, end the affair, and be here together with our family. Lori, yes, be a team and role model for our 2 boys and be a family again. Phil, in 3 months, I want my wife to want me again, to put me and our family first, to welcome me home with open arms every day. Just imagine that, Phil. Like her arms are just open for you and she's so happy to see you and just wraps you in love and kisses and closeness and connection, you know? Steffi, 3 months from now, I want us to be happier and I want to bring back our spark. Beautiful. All right, I know some of you haven't yet put anything in the chat and that's okay, but Amanda, Anton, E. Garcia, Eric, Ernest, Jane, there's a couple of Jasons here, Joel, John, I think I've heard from some of you, there's 3 Johns, Lamont, Lori, Matt Kelly, Michelle, Miriam, Phil, Steph, I heard from you, Sydney, Tamara, Tasha, and TM, we heard from TM. Oh yeah, I heard from many of you, but this is so important, guys, to know where we want to go. For me, when I was going through cancer, there were so many voices telling me I couldn't do it, that I was going to risk my life. I needed to think about my 5 kids, that I should do this treatment or that treatment. I should go natural. I should go chemo. I should blah, 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 right? And there was so much fear and so much, like it's just a tumult of opinions and, you know, things that were just bombarding me. It was completely overwhelming until I finally just tuned everything out. And I said, this is what my heart says. You all might think I'm crazy. You all might think this is impossible. But for me, my heart says, no, I'm going to keep my baby. and I'm going to win. I'm going to fight this, and we're both going to make it through. And I didn't know if I could actually get there, but I said, I can't live my life actually any other way. For me, that's the choice I knew I needed to make. And so when you make that kind of like listening to that inner part of yourself that knows truth and that says, you know, it may work out, it may not, but I know that I must fight for this and I must move forward in this direction, because if I don't, I'm going to regret it forever. And when you make that kind of a decision here and you say, this is what I'm going to do, I'm going to burn the boats, like come hell or high water, I'm all in, and I can live my life with peace, whether my marriage is saved or not, because I know that I listened to that part of me that said, I have to do this. I have to at least give it my all, because I don't want to live my life with regrets. So if you guys can come away with anything today, I want you to really pay attention to that feeling that you have now of what you really desire. You deserve it. You're worthy. You're good enough. And now we just need to help you get there. And as you hold fast to that vision for yourself and to that result that you want to see, you can get there. And it might not look the way you think it's going to look right now, but you will get there. All right. Awesome. Jason says that would be the best feeling in the world. Daniel, be a team, open with each other, happy with each other, set example for our beautiful blended family. Love that. Sydney, thank you. I want my husband to stop looking at other women on the internet. Yes. And show me affection. He looks at me with hate. I want him to dance with me again. Steffi, 3 months now, I want us to be happier, and I want to bring, oh, I read that one, to bring back our spark. Thank you. I appreciate and honor each of you for holding fast to that, and know that as you do that, you can find the way to get there. So let's talk about that. How do we get there, right? I'm not trying to build you with false hope or with like fairy tale dreams, but I want you to know that there's a part of you that's saying, this is what I want. And when you know what you want, then you can start to find the path that's going to get you there, all right? And it's going to be exactly what Ernest says here. I wish my wife would embrace me again, and what all of you have intended here together. So here's our big discovery, and I'm going to go into kind of the high level overview of what this is and why it's different and why it might be completely different than anything you tried before, because it's different than anything I tried before, and the exact steps to get there. So here's our big discovery, guys. This is really exciting. After working with thousands of couples, we found that there was one little thing that was a big reason why marriages were ending in divorce. I say it's something insane that we discovered, right? Literally no one else is talking about it. In fact, we had been coaching and working with couples for several years ourselves before we even discovered it. Let me show you what that was like for us, okay, on this side of it, right? We would take, you know, where you are right now, Ernest, Jason, Daniel, Sydney, Miriam, Michelle, Lori, John, and everyone else, Joel. And so we would help a couple just like where you are, and they would go from a place of, you know, wanting a divorce, having an affair, no communication, poor communication, so much pain, right? So much confusion, so much fear. And we would get them to the first step, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. They could open up communication. They could start talking about anything with respect and understanding. And then they would start to build a connection. And we would get them to the place where they would be like, oh, I'm so glad that we did this. You know, the partner that wanted out would be like, I'm so glad that we did this, that now we understand each other. Now we can communicate about anything. I feel like we're such good friends again, and that feels really good. And I'm still going to get a divorce. And we were like, what? How could we get people so far? And then they still wanted a divorce. And we realized that there was a piece that was missing. And that's what I'm going to share with you guys today so that you don't miss it yourself. Now, here's what it's not, because this is really important, okay? How many of you, raise your hands, there's a raise your hand part, or you can put it in the chat, have been told that you need to work on yourself? I was told that by a therapist. I was told that by our culture. It's kind of like this buzz phrase right now. It's like, if your marriage is struggling, go to counseling, go to therapy, and work on yourself, right? Who here has heard that? I want to see, raise your hands. I want to see in the chat if I'm talking to you guys. If you know what this is like, let me know. Me, Ernest says me, John, done. Yeah, Michelle, yep. All right, cool. So you guys have been there. Yeah, Stephanie, Lori, yeah. Sydney, love yourself first. Yeah. And so here's what would happen. We would tell our clients, you know, work on yourself. And it makes sense to a certain level, because like we should focus on what we can control, right? We know we can't control our spouse. So focus on what you can control, which is you, make you a better person. And that's great. And so we would ask our clients, how are you doing? And they would say things like this, right? Like, I'm losing weight. I'm working out. I'm in the best shape of my life. My health is way better, right? It might sound like I'm better with the kids. I help out more around the house. I do the laundry. I do the dishes. I cook now, right? Whatever it might be. I listen. I understand more. I meet their needs. I stop drinking. I stop complaining. I stop neglecting him or her. I stopped the affair. I'm working to rebuild the trust, right? I meditate. And we'd be like, oh, that's great. Good job. You're doing awesome. And then we'd say, well, how is your marriage? And this is the kind of answer that we'd get. They'd say, we're still getting a divorce. So, guys, working on yourself is not the solution for saving your marriage. It's great for you, but it's not going to be what you need to save your marriage. The solution is to work on changing your spouse's story and their beliefs about you. In other words, kind of like marketing ourselves to them, creating that know, like, trust factor, that then they can start to trust us again and believe that they can be happy with us again. I'm going to show you how that's done, but I want to make it really clear it's not working on yourself, okay? So here's our big discovery. Now that we know what it's not, let's talk about what it is. 98% of the time, our spouse has built up a belief about us, justifying their reasons in going, right? TM says, I wish my husband would hear this. Okay, we'll go into that a little bit here. Yeah. Matt Kelly, I heard all this. I see you changed. I filed a divorce today. Yeah. Okay. Phil, maybe that helps if you're not happy. Exercise, etc. is always good, right? It is. Yeah, it's good for you, but just know it's not the solution to save your marriage. So put into the chat here, because I want to know, what are the stories that your spouse is telling you? What are the reasons why they want out? What are the reasons why they're not happy? What are the reasons why they're in love with someone else, right? What is the story that they've built up about you that is why they're making this decision, right? Sometimes it sounds like, my spouse, you just won't change. I've been telling you for years and years and years, and you just won't change. Kim says, you failed me every time. Ooh, man. Jason, we become platonic. I feel we become best friends as opposed to lovers. Jason, pay attention to step 3 in this process. It's for you. It's going to be life-changing, game changer, okay? Amanda, oh, it's going so fast. I'm too controlling, too rigid, conservative, not fun, dismissive. Sydney, he says, I have anger issues. Elizabeth, I have to obey, fix myself. Curious what that means. Give me a little more detail, Elizabeth. That's one I really haven't heard in that way. So let me know if you can a little bit more about that. Matt Kelly, she made this decision a year ago. She hasn't been happy for a long time. She says, you won't change. Sydney, I won't change. Eric, you won't change. Can't trust you. I love you, but I'm not in love with you. Oh, that's a really interesting one there that we hear often. John, I was emotionally unavailable and would intentionally make her matter to throw her off topic and had anger issues. Jason, we fight all the time and can't resolve problems. We are in a never-ending cycle. Jenna, I asked for a break. Now I want it to work, and he likes someone else. He feels we're better as friends, and I need to work on my own mental issues first. Okay. Sydney, I also need to fix myself, depression and anxiety. That is so common. Steffi, we grew apart. I thought you didn't care about me. I love you, but I'm not sure if I'm in love with you. Yeah. I'm not too fun. I'm too serious. I've always been a nightmare and controlling, but unable to answer why the heck he was so keen on getting married and having a child. Right. So that right there, you've always been this way. I never loved you. I married you out of convenience, right? We hear all these different things. Daniel, I don't listen or understand, lack of empathy for others. Ernest, my wife says she can't make me happy. Ooh, that's an interesting one. Elizabeth, and we hear that one too. If he says, do this like this, and if I don't, then I'm being disrespectful. Okay. Stephanie, he cheated and says we're too different. Jane, not in love with you. I want out of here. I want to be myself. Again, he said, Michelle, I'm unhappy. You can't change. I'm unfulfilled. Anton, she says we're not compatible all of a sudden. That's an interesting one. We'll come to that. Okay. John, she doesn't trust my leadership as as the captain of our ship. I shipwreck every time. Even when she asks me to change course, I sail straight into the storm. That's very poetic. I like that. But yeah, I understand what you're saying. Elizabeth, so fold towels like this, put the toilet paper in a particular way. Wow. And if you don't do that, then you're disrespectful. So that's his story about you, Elizabeth. Okay. Sydney, because I've yelled at him and screamed horrible things, he can't touch me. Okay. Phil, she says, I deserve better. Ooh, that's another one. Okay. So here is an abundance of different reasons why our spouses are wanting out, all the way from the spectrum of broken trust. You had an affair and I never trust you again, right? I love you, but I'm not in love with you. Maybe we're better as friends. Maybe we're better just to co-parent the kids, and maybe it's better for the kids, right? I don't get what I want. I'm not happy here. I'm happier if I'm on my own, or I'm happier with someone else, right? So here's the key, guys. We have to remove those beliefs or they won't come back. That's the high level overview, and we're gonna go into some action steps here in a minute. Let's contrast this, the old model, which means like improve yourself, work on yourself, and that takes years, right? It's hard to make changes. You guys talked about, like screaming and yelling and distrust and not respecting, different things like this. And so that takes years to change those habits and those patterns, right? And it's hard to make that kind of change. And then you make all this positive change and you really hope that your spouse notices that you're really trying and they should give you another chance, right? But more often than not, the change just is too slow and it's too late because they're already wanting out right now. And so we're going to contrast that old model of doing things, whether you do it with therapy or you try to do it yourself, right? And we're going to show you what the PATH method does, the new model. Here, instead of waiting for years, hoping that your spouse notices that you're changing, you're going to make your spouse notice right away. We're going to get their attention right away because there's no time to waste. And then 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, whatever it might be for you and where you're at, you're going to actually come together. We're going to build that connection and then work on the habit change and the improving yourself that takes a long time. Does that make sense? So we need to reverse this entire model, like flip it on its head, because we don't have time to wait. We need to stop the talk of divorce, the talk of separation, the talk of leaving you for someone else right now. We don't have time to waste. So we are going to show you how to make them notice immediately and then do the deeper change that takes a long time. Does that sound fair? Does that sound like it? Does this make sense? Let me know in the chat. Jenna says yes. Sorry. Yes. TM says, Miriam says yes. Okay. Jason, yes. Michelle, Ernest, yes. Great. Kim, yes. And how? Yeah, we're going to get to that. Stephanie, yes. Okay, cool. Phil, yes. John, definitely. Sydney, yes. I'm writing it down. Sorry. Matt Kelly, yes. And we will also, Daniel, I will show you the way. I'm excited. This is cool. You guys are ready. You guys are great. E. Garcia, yes. Thank you for that. No worries. And so just know you'll also get the replay tomorrow of this exact masterclass. So I wouldn't be so worried about trying to write down everything right now. I'd be more intentional about the things that are going to stand out the most to you so you can start to take some action on them right away. All right, so how are we going to make our spouse notice right away so that we can stop the talk about divorce and separation, and then we can start to make the improvements that need to happen on both sides for both parties. So you can be happy and healthy and have all of that result that you guys were talking about, right? Where you want to be 3 months from now, 3 years from now, 30 years from now. Cool? All right. So our method shows them that we've changed without us even saying it and gets them to notice. Like I said, I'm going to snap every time until it's annoying right away. And it's a simple 4-step process. We want to keep it simple and ultra effective, okay? Because the simple things are the things that we actually do, not the overcomplicated things. So keep it simple, sexy, right? That KISS acronym, not stupid, you're not stupid. We're gonna keep it simple, sexy, okay? So we call it the PATH method. It's an acronym. P stands for peaceful communication. A, adjust how they see you, remember the story, right? T, trust building, and H, hope and close. And this is how we're going to get them to notice right away that they actually want to be with us, and the talks about, affairs, divorce, separation, etc. Okay? So here is a flow chart, because can you have a masterclass without a flow chart? I think not. So here's our flow chart. And this is kind of the process. Now, you guys are going to notice that the little words, the little tiny sentences there are blurred. You're not going to be able to read them because I don't want you to read them yet, because I want to give them to you one at a time. But what I want you to understand here is that it's it's a system, right? And it's a process. So we start at one place and we say, okay, do we have trust or do we not have trust? Yes. Okay, cool. We're going to go this way. No. Okay. We're going to implement this action step right now. Okay. Did that work? Yes or no? Was it effective? Yes or no? Right. And we have these different branches here. I don't know if you can see my cursor, but we have these different branches that go back and forth. Is communication open? Is it not open? Will they talk about the kids? Will they talk about ending the divorce? Yes or no? And we solve the problems in a very specific order, custom tailored to exactly what you're going through in your marriage. And this works for those that say, I love you, but I'm not in love with you, like you guys talked about. You know, I feel it's too late, Stephanie, right? Okay. And all of that, you know, from I love you, but I'm actually in love with someone else and I want to leave you, or you never change, you never listen, you're too controlling and too manipulative, right? Anything along that spectrum, this path will get you to that result that you want step by step in a simple, systematic way that's going to get them to notice right away and create that immediate relief we're going to talk about next. So our path method is different because we want to get you immediate relief. For you, we want to get you immediate relief. And unlike other methods, other things that we've tried before, we focus on getting you the love that you crave as fast as humanly possible. And I'm going to show you how we do that. It's not the typical therapist model. I went to therapy. My husband said no, or he said yes for a time, but then he said, no, I'm done. This is stupid. I don't want to do it anymore, right? And a therapist will say, well, your husband, your wife has to come with you or I can't help you. So then what do you do? If they're not willing to work on the marriage with you, then is that it? Is it over? A lot of people will say yes, but remember to what your heart's saying and what your inner self is saying. I love this person. I want it to work. So we say, forget that. We're willing to help people, and we have successfully proven that we can help people save their marriage, even if they're the only one working on it right now, which has to happen if your spouse is wanting out. You have to be the one to go first, right? So therapy, you're not going to get that, right? And therapists rely on you going to them for as long as possible, right? The week after week after week kind of model. And they're usually actually not allowed to tell you what to do, especially here in the US. I know we had a lot of people in the US. We also have some in Canada, but insurance actually dictates what they can and cannot do. And they're not actually allowed to tell you what to do. That's why it's often like talking to a friend, or you're talking about like childhood pain, or they often like side with the husband or the wife. And it's completely not going to be what you need in this kind of situation. It's great if you just got married or your marriage isn't really struggling, right? So that's why it's different. It's a unique method that works even if your spouse is checked out completely. So you're saying, yeah, Heather, my spouse is checked out. They say they're done. You're telling me this is going to work. Yes, this is going to work even if they're completely checked out, because you're the one that's going to make them notice quickly and then stop the divorce, increase that connection, and then work on changing the things that need to be changed long-term so you can have a happy, lasting relationship, okay? Another funny thing, I say it's kind of funny because we actually want to get rid of you. So, you know, Joel, John, Jane, Heath, Erica, Daniel, Anton, Amanda, Stephanie, Miriam, Jason, E. Garcia, you know, all of you, Tasha, Tian, Tara, Sydney, Steve, Sarah, Romario, oh, you're new, welcome, Phil, Michelle, Nat, Kelly, Lori, Lisa, Lamont, Kim, and everyone. If I missed you, I apologize. The happiest day for us is when you graduate, because we don't want to keep you in the program. We're not trying to get you to stay for years and years and years and spend more money and blah, blah, blah. No, we want you to master these things, get results, and move on with your life and have a happy marriage. So we are coaches. We are not counselors. We are not therapists. And that means we get to tell you word by word what to say, like literally, like text them this right now. And then tell us what happens. Report back to us. Okay, cool. That's what they said. Text them this right now. Okay, that's what they said. Okay, if you have the ability to call them, do that right now, right? Or if you're meeting face to face, we show them show you exactly what to say, again, to make them notice. So wake them up and change things quickly, as fast as humanly possible, okay? Now, that's the high-level overview. You guys excited to talk about the action steps? This is what we call the path method. Even if you've just been served, yeah, Anton, so you would fall into that category A of when you've been served divorce papers. Yes, we've helped people with divorce papers. We've helped people way worse than that with restraining orders. A man who is in prison Okay. Several couples actually that had already been divorced, and the husband's like, oh, I still love her. And in another instance, the wife, the ex-wife in this case, it's like, I actually still love him. I want to be with him, even though we're already divorced. Can you help us? Yes. All right. And so, yeah, Lori says, this sounds great. Therapy not very effective so far. Erica, what if he does live with you and is seeing someone else? Exactly. I'm in love with someone else. In fact, if you guys want, I can show you a client story a little bit later that relates to that exactly, Erica. Let me know if that is something that you would like. All right, so here's the action steps. You guys ready? How do we do it? How do we get them to notice right away, end the affair, end the divorce, end the separation, and then want to work together so that we can make the deeper change to have happiness long-term, okay? So first, we need to do a root assessment. Let me explain what that looks like. In the next slide, here we go. So in a root assessment, we as your coaches, we scientifically assess your marriage to determine what the root issues and perceptions are behind their story. So remember their story, Laura, Erica, Stephanie, Sydney, Anton, Kim, John, Lamont, Lori, right? Remember their story? Here's the kicker. You know what their story is, that's actually the symptom. And so we need to uncover the root issues that are leading to that symptom. And most of us, we can guess what one or two of those root issues are. I'll give an example here. Like if you are having an affair, right, Erica, I know a lot of you, I think John, in that kind of situation, they'll say, I just don't trust you anymore. Or they'll say, I'm in love with someone else because they meet my needs. They make me feel happy. They make me feel important and you don't. So we can say, okay, they're having this affair because you're right. I haven't really been meeting their needs. I haven't really been making them as important as I have the kids or my job or whatever, right? Or I've been in depression and anxiety and I've been so in my own thing that I haven't really met their needs. So I can see why that's a root issue of why they're having an affair. Right? So we can guess and really have a good idea about one or two of the reasons. Here's the kicker, okay? There's always one or two more of these root issues that we are completely unaware of. Let me tell you if this is you, like let me know in the chat. Have you ever said things like, I don't know why you're doing what you're doing to your spouse, right? I don't know why my husband's doing what he's doing. I don't know why my wife is doing what they're doing. Have you been blindsided? Have they come out of all of a sudden you thought things were fine and then, whoa, they're having an affair? Where did this happen? Where did this go wrong? Have you ever thought that? I don't get them. I don't know where they're coming from. I don't know how they could think this about me, right? Jason says, oh yeah. Eric says, yep. Sydney says, yes. Anton, yes. Ernest, yes. Kim, yes. Jason, yes. Right. So blindsided, E. Garcia, exactly. Michelle, Erica, yes. Steffi, Lori, yes. Okay. Elizabeth, yeah, cool, thank you. So when we are like, I don't know why they're doing this, that's a clear indication that there is something you don't see. Why don't we see it? Why don't we know? Why are we blindsided? Why don't we get them? Okay. Why we don't get them is because we're so in the mud of the situation. We're so much in our own pain. We're in so much in our own negative cycles with this person, right? With our spouse. And we can't see it clearly for what it is. That's why having us come in and do this root assessment, we will have that kind of 30,000 foot view, like way above the situation, because we're not in the muck of it like you are. And we will be able to clearly identify all of the reasons why they're wanting out. All of those root issues leading to their belief about you, right? Like John, you can't, you're too controlling, or I can't trust you. Amanda, issues of him projecting stuff on me. Yeah, exactly. John, I knew we were bad, but that we weren't that bad. Yeah, exactly. Okay. TM, we'll talk about that in a little bit. All right, so unless we unearth all four, there's sometimes 5, but there's usually 4 or 5 of these root issues that have caused them to believe this about us and about our marriage. And unless we uncover all of them and kind of like cut the legs off the whole table, then we're not going to get our spouse back. That's the bottom line. So we help you uncover what they are. And now that we know exactly what the issues are and their perceptions are, why they believe this about us, then we get them to wake up and notice right away what needs to be changed, okay? Get their attention now, rather than working on ourselves for years and hoping that they notice. We make them notice, because guess what? We're not just guessing anymore or wondering why this has happened, but now we know exactly what's going on, okay? And it makes them notice. All right, Sergio's here. Welcome, Sergio. Sergio is my incredible partner. He is he is from Spain and helps me, helps us out with this business so much. So Sergio, I'm gonna make you a panelist right now. There you go, cool. So welcome, Sergio, and everyone say a big welcome to him. He's gonna help us out here in the Q&A and help us get some awesome clarity here on this. So welcome, Sergio. If you ever want to pop in, let me know. All right, so now that we know it needs to be changed, now we need to move to the next step. Remember, these are simple steps. We do all the work for you in the root assessment. We help you uncover all the reasons why they want out. And now it's time for you to do the simple things that we're going to give you to do. They're simple. It doesn't mean they're always easy, but they're simple to open up communication. Thanks, Stephanie. Ernest, that's awesome. Light bulb moment, John. Yay. Oh, okay. Really sink into that, because that's powerful. This can change your life. So obviously, this goes without saying, right? If we can't talk to our spouse, we can't get them to change the story. We can't get them to notice right away, right? We just go back to the hoping, the wishing, the praying, right? And it's just pie in the sky type stuff. And that's not what we're about. We're about tactical things to help you open up communication, because we must get that going in order to solve the reasons why they want out. All right, exercise time, okay? Put into the chat here, what level of communication are you at currently on this spectrum? We've got this little thermometer, right? So anywhere from level 1, you have absolutely no communication. You have a restraining order. You live on opposite sides of the world. You never text, you never call, you don't talk about kids. There's no surface level conversation. There's literally nothing, no talking, no communication, no interaction at all. 2, stonewalling, closed off, silent treatment. Anytime you approach them, it's just a brick wall. 3, volatile, things are very angry, they're hostile. They're, explosive. They bring up past pain. They bring up past hurts. They won't let things go. They throw it in your face, name calling, etc. Right? It's like fire with fire, right? It's just very volatile. 4, maybe things are kind of surface level. You can talk about, the kids. You can talk about even the divorce. You can talk about life. It's very business-like. As soon as you try to get deep or understand why they want out, then they put up the walls, right? 5 would be you're friendly. You can get along, you're friends, but you're not romantic. You don't have the passion. You don't have the spark. I think we were talking about getting the spark back earlier, right? And 6, of course, would be intimate, open, trusting, amazing, pour your soul out kind of communication and incredible passion and understanding, right? So we've got Lori, 2, 3, 4. Okay, we've got a poll here. Thank you. So if you want to put it in the poll, you can do that as well. You guys already put a lot of it into the chat. So let me know in the poll. That helps me know exactly where most of us are at. Steffi says 5, so you're friendly but not romantic. John, 5, question mark. Okay. Depends on the day, 2 to 4. Yeah, 4 but not personal. E. Garcia, Lori, 2, 3, 4. Erica, 4. Anton, 2. Sydney, thank you. You're welcome. Tasha, 3. Harmit, welcome. 5, thank you for that. Jason Lopes, 6. Okay, normally 6. Yeah, no communication. Sometimes it goes up and down. Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Sergio, for chatting over here and helping us out in the chat and helping me stay organized with everything. She's open and honest when it benefits her. Miriam, 4. Okay, so most of you in the poll over here, Amanda, Sydney, Elizabeth, Daniel, Jane, thank you all for answering. Awesome. And we also have Jenna, Sergio, cool. So 4 and 5 would be where most of you guys are at. Okay, cool. Well, then I'll help you with that. Now, some of you guys are at level 3 and even 2. So we definitely want to get some solutions there. Now, the steps that I'm going to give you here apply no matter where your marriage is. Okay, 2 and up. 1, that's a different thing. And we're not going to go into that here because no one's there. So we're not going to work on that one with you guys. I'm going to make this what you need the most. Okay. So we have 2 people at, okay, 2 and 3, 4 and 5. Okay, 4 takes the cake. It's the biggest, most popular here. Yeah, thanks, Sergio. Appreciate that. So if you are at especially level 2 and 3, pay attention, but even all the way up to 6, I use these exact next steps all the time in my marriage, even though we're madly in love, and could not truly be happier. I'm so in love with Ben, and he is like so in love with me. So as we get communication open, especially if you're in 2 or 3 where you have no communication or it's really ugly, even if you're at 4 and 5 and it's surface level or it's friendly, but it's not passionate, it's not deep, they put up resistance when you ask, why do you want out? Or can you work on this with me, right? So as we get them to actually open up about those beliefs that they've created about us, it's going to be ugly. Okay? And that's actually the goal. Now you're like, Heather, why would I join a program with the goal to have ugly communication? Well, let me explain why. It's actually a huge win, because we need to kind of like lance the wound to get all the gunk out. We have to know what they've been bottling up inside and what they've been resisting telling us, so that then we can actually heal it. So on our end, there's some crucial things that we have to do to be able to go through that, because it's hard, it's ugly, it's painful. And so if we're in reaction mode, it's only going to make things worse. So we'll show you, first of all, exactly what to say. Text this, write this, next time you talk, say it like this, and then report back to us on how it went. And then we'll give you exactly what to say next, literally like word by word. So you're not guessing. We'll show you exactly what it needs to be, okay? So as we open up the communication, how do we actually do that? Like, how do we get them to open up? Well, you're going to use the words that we say and the way that we say them to get that wound to finally start to drain. That sounds really gross, but it's true. And so we need to get the gunk out so that we can start to actually heal it at that deepest level, right? We're not going to put a Band-Aid on a cancer tumor. We're going to drain that thing. We're going to get rid of that thing for good, right? So here we have to stop a few things. I really encourage you to listen here. Listen with your mind, listen with your heart, listen with your entire being, because it's not uncommon for people going through the masterclass to have the biggest aha moment here. And they realize, oh my goodness, I've been doing that. That's why they're doing this, okay? So there's some things that we have to stop, and we'll coach you on exactly how to stop these things, especially if you've been doing it a long time. I'm gonna raise my hand and say, I've done every single one of these. So first, we have to stop demanding that they work on the marriage. How many of you are saying things like this or have said things like this in the past? You vowed to me in our marriage vows that you would work on this with me, that you would be there in sickness and in health, for better or for worse, whether I have depression or not, whether I'm struggling with alcoholism or not, whether there's broken trust or not. You vowed. You need to honor your marriage vows, right? Or maybe you say things like, it's against our religion, it's against God's will, it's against his commandments that we divorce, and so you need to work on this with me. Or you say, it's better for the kids. We don't want them growing up with a broken home. You need to work on this with me, with the kids, right? Okay, he says me. Harmit says yes. Sydney says yes. Okay, and thank you, Sergio, for helping over there. Awesome. Eric says yep. Okay, so what happens? First of all, I'm going to say, are you right? Yeah, you're right. You're completely actually justified. And they did make a promise. It might be against your religion. It might be better for the kids, right? You're right. It's kind of one of those times we have to ask ourselves, do I want to be right or do I want to be happy? Because what happens, Lori, guilty, TM, okay, Matt, Eric, Heath, everyone else has said yes, Harmit, Sydney, when we demand that they work on the marriage, if they're already checked out, if they're already saying, I'm done, I'm in love with someone else, there's no passion here, I love you, but I'm not in love with you. If we demand that they work on the marriage with us and we're right, but we keep putting that in their face, what's going to happen to them? Yours is checked out, Stephanie. Yep. Oh, okay, you're talking to Sergio over in the panelists. Gotcha. I see everything, so sometimes it gets a little confusing, but it's all right. So what happens when we push them to work on the marriage? We say, you must do this. If someone tells us we must do something and we don't want to do it, what do we do? Let me know in the chat. Show me how smart you guys are. Passion's lost. Okay. For some reason, I'm only reading the panelists. Pull away even more. There we go, Miriam. Now I'm seeing them. Ernest. There we go. Push away. They'll want to run. Yeah, exactly. And so it's crucial. Yeah, John, rebel, we resist. Exactly. So it's only going to push them further away from us. It's not what we want. So we have to stop doing that. Okay. How many of us are going into manipulating? I'm going to take the kids from you. I'm going to wreck your credit. I'm going to destroy you financially. I'm going to take the house. I'm going to ruin your reputation. And we say these things because we're angry. And part of us is wanting to kind of threaten them or scare them to come back to us. But does it ever work? No, it never, ever works. Manipulation never works. Okay. Or we get into pleading. Please come back to me. Please give me another chance. Please, 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 please don't do this for the kids. Please, 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 right? Please, please, please. And so we get into that pleading and acting out of desperation. Sydney says also plead, right? And so, yeah, making sure guilty, begging to work on it. Exactly. And acting out of desperation. Sometimes we get into freezing or we pull away ourselves because we want to create some space there, right? And we actually do nothing because we're afraid of doing the wrong thing, or we're just in fear, so we end up doing nothing. And all of these will only lead to our spouse pulling further away from us, which is not what we want, okay? What other choice do we have? I love that, Harmit. What other choice do we have, okay? First of all, let's talk about where this is coming from. Harmit, where is this coming from? Sydney, Jason, Lori, where is this coming from? When we feel all of this desire to have them work on it, to plead them to work on it, manipulating them to work on it, doing nothing out of fear, where is it really coming from? What causes us to act this way? Or to react, I should say. Fear, want, love, fear. Yeah, Jason, it's fear because we're afraid of losing what we love. Anxiety, fear, desperation, fear. You got it. You guys are really, really smart, okay? So when we're in fear, we activate what's called the limbic system of our brain. Okay, this is fancy psychology talk, doesn't really matter, but the important thing to know is that when we're in the limbic system, because of fear, our brain literally shuts off most of the blood flow to our reasoning part of our brain. So we're not reasonable at all. We're not thinking about our highest good. We're not thinking about the result we really want in our lives or our marriages. And we react in a very animalistic state. We get into the fight, flight, or freeze response, okay? So Harmit was asking, how do we do anything else? This is where things can completely transform for you in your marriage and your life and who you are. This is the biggest thing I've ever learned in my life and the most freeing, incredible thing. Do we have to be victims to our circumstance? Do we have to be victims to our emotions and to our animalistic responses? Or are we human beings that have the ability to choose something else? What do you guys think? I'm waiting. Choose. Yeah, we get to choose. We don't have to keep going down that same route. We don't have to be a victim to our initial emotional reaction and just continue to react out of that. And sometimes we react out of that way for years and even decades. And you can see the result in other people's lives when they do that. It's not what you want. So what we need to learn to do is learn how to emotionally process through fear so we can become the masters of our fate, the captains of our ship. Okay, we steer ourselves to where we want to go. So we show you exactly how to do that quickly so our spouse notices, they wake up, we make them notice. And not only that, but we feel that immediate sense of relief inside ourselves because we shift from fear to being calm, to being centered, to being empowered, okay? Here's how we do that. First, we need to take the pressure off. I know this whole masterclass is how to save your marriage, but we're actually going to take the pressure completely off of that. We're going to take the pressure off of them, our husband, our wife, him or her, off of us, and off of the marriage. Sometimes we hold on to something so tightly because we want it so much that we squeeze the life out of it. So we have to take the pressure off. And when we do that, we actually create room and space for the things that we want most, the things that we deserve. We deserve happiness. We deserve love. We deserve compassion. We deserve respect. We deserve trust to come to us, okay? And we'll show you exactly how to do that in very tactical ways. So you make quick transformation and your spouse notices right away. We increase understanding towards them as we take the pressure off. Let me give you an example of what this sounds like. I really want you to pay attention to how this feels if you're receiving this yourself. Okay, so we'll say Matt Kelly's spouse, Sydney's spouse, John's wife, spouse, right? Lisa, all of you. So you come to them and you say, I understand this must be really hard for you too. You must be going through a lot yourself. And I want to understand where you're coming from. I want to understand you. You know, no matter what happens in our marriage, regardless of what happens, if we, you know, it's not about that for me right now. I really just want to understand you because I care about you. I want to become a better person myself. I want to work on those things myself. Can you help me with that? How does that feel? Does that feel safe? Does it feel inviting? Right? So before, when we're in the pushing and the pleading and the desperation and demanding that they work on it, we're not safe to them. They want to create space because we don't feel safe to them. So what we're doing now is shifting that. John says, very safe. Miriam, that sounds really good. Exactly. So we show you exactly the words to use, but you have to bring in that intention of how you're doing it with no pressure, no agenda, and really desiring to understand them because you actually care about them more than you do about where you're at right now. Because when you do that, that's actually going to feel safe to them. They're going to open up that communication. Okay. And we're able to do things with calm confidence. I think he will think I'm being very manipulative. Okay, Sydney. So exactly. Here is a question for you guys, because I may have missed this part in the last little bit. So let me know. Maybe you're not like coming at them with the manipulation of like, I'm going to take the kids. I'm going to wreck your credit. I'm going to blah, 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 right? Or the begging and the pleading, right? I'll do anything. Please give me another chance, right? That maybe some of us are like this. Let me know if this is you guys so I can make sure I apply this to where we're all at, right? Maybe you're like this. I'm going to fight for my marriage. I'm going to send her like a text every day, let her know I love her. I'm going to send him a picture of our happy married days and remind him of all the good times we've had. I'm going to bring her flowers. I'm going to show up at work and surprise him. I'm going to take him on dates. I'm going to, you know, meet his needs, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to, you know, show her that I care about her and the kids. I'm going to do this and this and this, right? And all of those things, yeah, guilty. Erica says, that's me to a T. Okay, cool. I'm not sure you mean TM, but I think you're talking to maybe Sergio. Eric says me, I've done it all. Lori, Jason. Okay. So Ernest, if you're still doing those things, even if you think they're the right things, and if you think that they're going to help you get them back and they're the right positive things to do, but you're still doing them out of fear, there's an underlying current of fear, like I don't want to lose them, I'm afraid this isn't going to work, and there's that desperation of I'm going to try to get them back, they will sense it. They will sense it. And all of your positive actions will feel like a manipulation. So as you're talking about there, Sydney, you said you think I'm being manipulative. There is a shift that happens because instead of doing these things with the undercurrent of fear and desperation to try to get them back, you're doing it with no agenda. And we show you exactly tactically how to do that and how to emotionally process out of your fear so that no matter what happens, you're like a rock in a storm. And you might be in the worst hellish storm of your life, but you are calm and centered no matter what happens. And when you're coming from that kind of a state, just like your spouse senses that, you know, like you're doing the right things, but I sense a lot of fear in you, that still feels scary to me. Now they say, oh, wow, their fear is gone. And I actually feel like the genuineness of what they're saying. And I feel safe with them again. That's what happens. Okay. I hope that I understand that when you are where you are right now, it's challenging to see the whole picture, but we've seen it so many times that this is how we get to that communication, that understanding work going for you. And it doesn't feel like a manipulation to them because they know and they can sense where you're actually coming from. So for you, it feels amazing because you're no longer in that fear and that desperation, that clench mode. Now you are like calm and centered and empowered, and you're able to face the circumstances and the challenges from that kind of a place. So you feel immediate relief, right? The circumstances haven't changed yet, but we show you how to do that. Okay. Hope that makes sense. Does that make sense? Let me know and I can go back and go through this if this makes sense, because I can go deeper in any one of these, right? I just want to make sure. Sydney says Miriam says yes. Sydney says yes. Okay, good, Sydney. Cool. So it's no longer manipulation, it's genuine, and you feel it and they feel it. And they feel safe to open up to communicate with you. Kim, can you go deeper? Let me know on what part in manipulation. Okay. So the manipulation, it was with that agenda. When you have an agenda, I want to get you back. I want you to do X, Y, Z, even if you're doing it in a positive way, they feel it. But go back to that example that I gave. I genuinely care about you. Regardless of what happens in our marriage, I want you to be happy and I want to become a better person myself. Is that something you can help me with? Will you help me to understand where you're coming from? Do you feel the difference there? Is there manipulation there? Are you guys hearing any kind of sense of manipulation? Or is it a sense of genuine care and genuine understanding, genuine compassion, even empathy? Okay. Genuine. Cool. Kim says. Okay. So just remember, as we get this communication open, it's going to be ugly because we're letting that wound that's been festering for a long time to seep out. We have to deal with it, and it's actually good because now we can know even deeper what we need to do to heal it long term. That brings us to our step 3, which is to retrust. Simple process, not easy, but it is simple. Okay. Now, our clients love this phase. We call it ceasefire, where we're going to shift that really negative communication. It's kind of like we drained the wound and all the gunk and awful ugliness has come out. And now we're able to start to bring in the healing. And we're going to shift that negative communication to neutral communication, which feels much better, right? And so what we see here is that our spouse is actually going to give us the time of day again. They're actually going to open up and tell us what they're feeling, what they've been going through, what their perception is, right? And the arguments that you guys talked about, some of you said that you're at 3, 4, 5, like they're closed off when it comes to the deeper stuff, or the passion or the romance. That is all going to be over with. And you can talk about anything. Now, I remember one of you guys said that you were at this stage of being friends, but no passion and no romance. And I told you to pay attention here to step 3. I don't remember your name right now, but here, pay attention. This is for you especially, but it's for everyone because eventually you will get to this point, okay, where you do feel like friends. You stay up late, you talk about anything. Oftentimes here, we see a spouse come back to the bedroom or come back home or put their wedding ring on or start to go on dates again. And you start to build this really awesome connection and it feels amazing. It is a huge progress, okay? And it's to be celebrated and to be enjoyed. But I want to give a bit of a warning here. Most people think at this point that they've done it, that they've restored their marriage, their spouse is back, they've got this great connection again, they've got this, okay, thanks, Jason, appreciate that. And so, you've got this great connection and you think that you're done. You're not done yet. And you cannot make the crucial error of pushing at this stage yet. And most people try to push and then that's it. That's it. Their marriage is over because their spouse puts up all the walls again. Let me show you what this looks like, because now that we built this up to the friendly stage, the connection stage, the openness stage, where there is genuine respect, compassion, understanding between you, now we go to hope and close. Here at this stage, we must fully remove all of those reasons why they believe that about you. Remember, all of those reasons. And we have to replace them so that they see themselves happy with us again. How are we going to do that? It's not working on ourselves, remember. It's not working on yourself. It's working on how your spouse views you. Changing their beliefs, working on those root issues. We don't just say, you can trust me. We get them to notice immediately that the manipulation, the pleading, the begging is over. And now we are a safe space for them. And eventually they will become a safe space for us as well. All right. We show them because, saying and being are 2 different things. We also aren't going to give up when it gets hard, because here at this stage, it's actually going to get really hard, like really, really bad. In fact, most of our clients want to give up. They think it's not working during this step. They think, I've made all this progress because we're friends. They came home. We can talk about anything, truly anything, even if we haven't talked about it for years. But what happens at this phase is that your spouse is going to give you a test. It's not a conscious test, right? They're not looking up and saying, I'm going to test Harmit and TM and Miriam and Jason and John today, right? But what happens is that their heart is starting to open up to us. They're building a connection there. but they're still holding on to some of that fear. What happens is they're going to test the waters here to see if we're for real and if they can fully give us their heart again. And we've identified there's about 12 tests that most spouses put you through before they finally change their belief about you. And we teach you how to pass all of them. In fact, we've been doing this so long that we can preemptively know which tests they're going to throw at us. I think of this stage as like the Mount Doom or like the final battle of their story, of their belief about us. They want so much with most of their heart to give us their heart again, to fully love us, to fully let go of their story and their reasons for wanting out. But part of them is still a little bit afraid of getting hurt again, of opening up again. And so we have to show them that we are for real, and everything that we got them to notice about us up until this point quickly, that this is genuinely who we are, and that we can now work together as a team on these things. It's safe for them to let that story go. It's safe to give us their heart again, to love us fully. Okay. Does that make sense? So let me walk you through an example. Let me know if you have any questions. But I love you, but I'm not in love with you anymore. Some of you said that. That's what your spouse is saying. We're better as friends. I need to find myself, right? Any of those stories, but it doesn't matter. Whatever the example is for you guys, whatever the story is your spouse is saying. So now you've opened up communication. You have really respectful, understanding, awesome communication, and you have connection again, you're friends again. And they'll say, oh, I'm so glad we did this. We're going to be able to co-parent the kids so well. Or I'm so glad that we can, separate as friends. And you're like, what? No, it's just a test. They're trying to see if you're going to go back to all the things you did before, right? The not meeting their needs, the begging, the pleading, the manipulation, any of those things. They're wanting to see if you're for real. And when you can show them that I am for real, they can finally let that story go. Does that make sense? Stephanie says, yep, exactly. Or you're talking to Sergio. Okay. Awesome. John, okay, you're talking to Sergio. Oh, you're talking to me. LOL. Okay, Stephanie. Jason says makes sense. Okay, awesome. All right, cool. And so, Ernest, awesome. Okay. As we pass that final step, now we fully change their story. In fact, it's gone. It's gone. It's gone forever. And now we help you to build the happy, thriving marriage and make all those changes that you want to make so that you can have that long term. So I want to ask you a question. How good would it feel, John, Ernest, Paul, Jason, Stephanie, all of you guys, how good would it feel to replace overwhelm that you may be feeling right now with direction? Remember, it's a simple step-by-step process. We show you exactly what to say, how to say it, when to say it, so that then you can go to the next part, right? Confusion with clarity. The fear and the pain that you're in right now with genuine hope and peace, because you deserve happiness. You deserve. Life's too short to live any other way. It's not about controlling everything, but truly about having that happiness regardless of the circumstances. That is what having a coach on your side with the right method gives you. Sound good? Sound good, right? Jason, I want it more than anything. Sounds great. TM, Stephanie, yes. John, awesome. Cool. All right. So let me ask you a question. How many of you guys feel like this right now? Stephanie says it'd feel great. How many of you feel like this? We've gone through a lot. I've gone through the 4 steps that you need to take to get your spouse to notice quickly and to end the affair quickly, end the divorce quickly, end the separation quickly, and then work to make the positive changes that need to happen. Right? All right. It's kind of funny. Yeah. Ernest says me, Matt Kelly, me, Jane, me. Awesome. Yeah. It's kind of like drinking out of a fire hose, right? There's a lot that needs to happen here. And there's a lot of things I shared. I know a lot of you guys had light bulb moments and have some new awareness, right? Stephanie, we'll go back to that question here in a bit. So if we had a way to keep the conversation going for you guys to learn exactly how to apply this PATH method to your marriage, Miriam, Paul, Ramiro, Sarah, Stephanie, Steffi, Stephen, Tasha, Tanji, TM, haven't heard from you yet, Sydney, all of you guys, Anton, Daniel, E. Garcia, Elizabeth, Erica, Eric, Ernest, Gasha, Harmit, Heath, Jane, Jason, all of you Jasons, Jenna, Joel, and all of you Johns, Kim, Lamont, Lori, Matt Kelly, Michelle, Miriam. I think I've gone through everyone now. Paul, Phil, yeah. would you guys be interested in that? Would you guys be interested in learning how you can apply this exact path process to where you are in your marriage? Jason says yes. Erica says yes. Yes, absolutely. Daniel, yes. Awesome. So we have a program here that takes you through this path process, and we've put together how that looks like for you guys and show you exactly how you can join if you're wanting to do that. You guys want to hear about that? In fact, we even have some special packages that Sergio and I put together just for you guys for joining this masterclass today, and it is not available to anyone else. You guys want to hear about that? I want to make sure I'm where you guys are at. Jane, defo. Lori, yes. Jason, yes. Anton, yes. Jason, Erica, Eric, Steffi, Miriam, TM, Ernest. Cool. All right. Well, let's go into it then. So how the program works is that we take you through this whole process to get your spouse to notice right away and to end the talk of divorce, affairs, separation, and then work on those positive changes in a 12-week program where we do one-on-one coaching sessions. Now, I had talked to some of you guys about especially affairs. Will this even work if they're in this kind of situation? They say they're done, they don't want to work on it, they're in love with someone else. Do you guys want me to show you a real video from one of our clients? I can pull it up here. I think I can find it. I usually don't do this, but I want to ask you guys if you want to see this. Stephanie says yes. Erica says yes. Okay. So in the one-on-one coaching sessions, we're going to show you the feedback loop that are going to help you to get to this result. I'm going to go through the feedback loop first, and then I'll pull up the video. All right. So first, here as your expert, we guide you on exactly the challenges that you face in every single one of these phases with this success loop. Okay. First, you need to know what to do, because we need to know what to do. For me, I was like, I don't know what to do. Everything I'm doing isn't working. I don't know what to do. My spouse just said this, or maybe they just admitted that they did have an affair, or maybe I caught him looking at pornography again, or maybe she said she's done again and she took off her wedding ring. What do I do? What do I do? Okay, I did this communication thing. Now what do I do, right? We need to know not only what to do, but when to do it. This is important because sometimes the same thing that works great at one phase will completely backfire in another phase. Like my husband comes home now and we just wrap each other in hugs and kisses and we totally gross our kids out, right? And it's awesome. I love it. But if you did that right now, it might completely backfire, right? So it's really important that you know not only what to do, but when to do it. Third, if we even did it right, okay? Because it's crucial that we get that feedback. We might have the right tool, but we might be using it completely wrong. I mean, could you imagine if you had a hammer and you're trying to use the opposite end of it and you're not getting anywhere? You think that you're doing it right and you're not. So you need a coach that shows you need to do it this way and giving you that feedback. Okay, you sent that text. What was their reply? Okay, this is what you need to do next, right? Fourth, if we actually even did it. And I laugh about this one, but it's true of me and so many of us, right? We're humans. Sometimes we nod our heads and we're like, oh yeah, I totally agree with this. This is great. I'm going to totally do this tomorrow morning. And then we wake up and what do? We go right back to doing what we always did. And we don't actually make the changes. So we need that accountability to make sure we're actually doing these things, right? And then fifth, what the next steps are. So I've done this, I've gotten to this level, maybe now we have communication open, now it's neutral communication, now we're building that friendship part, we have this connection, and then boom, they just threw their story back in my face. What do I do? Or maybe, I messed up. I went back to begging. I went back to pushing her. I went back to drinking. I felt like I slipped back into my old patterns here. That's actually something we account for. We don't expect you to do it perfectly. In fact, we know you're not because we're all human. And so we account for that and we give you exactly how to get back on track, making tiny course corrections to get back to the destination that we really want. Okay. So, all right. Does this make sense? As we repeat this loop over and over and over again, that is how we have success. Make sense? It's important that you get this feedback loop, this success loop, so that we know how to successfully restore our marriage. Now, I'm going to pull up this video here from Leah, and hopefully it will load. Come on. There we go.
And a quick note here, it's Sergio. I've been talking to some of you guys here in the chat. Hello, everyone. This video is very important for you guys to watch because over the chat and the Q&A, I've been answering a lot of people who are asking, hey, is there hope in my situation? Or my spouse has an affair, or there is no trust, or this situation you will see here in the video is an extreme situation, right? Her husband was living with an affair. You will see it in a second. And it was a really, really hard situation. So even for this person in this extreme situation, there was hope. We changed it. So for all of you asking, is this even possible? Yes, it is with the right process. But anyways, let's proceed into the video because it's quite important.
Right. Yeah, thank you for that. Okay.
Hi, everyone. So I don't normally do this, but I was asked to share my story with you guys. So my husband started cheating on me in November, and I found out in February, about a month before our son was born, and I was broken. I thought that I was never going to get through it. I felt like a part of me had died. And I didn't know what to do. And then one day, about 3 months ago, I found an ad on Facebook talking about the program. And for me, it was a sign from God, because I was at my wit's end. I didn't know what to do anymore. I felt like all I was doing was walking in circles. And so I joined the program on my last leg of hope, and it made a huge difference in my life. Because of the program, I started doing more self-reflection, and I started working on me, and I started improving myself and bringing that to my marriage. And because of that, because of following the program and speaking my husband's love language and finding what my husband needed because of the help of the program, my husband and I can now say that we have been married for 5 years as of last week, and he's left the other woman, and he's focusing on his family, and he wants to have a future with me, and he wants to have a future with me and our son together as a family. And I'm telling you guys, it's amazing. It's an amazing feeling knowing that I still get to spend the rest of my life with the love of my life. And some of you guys might be feeling like you're losing hope. Don't give up. Don't give up. Keep pushing through. When you feel like you have nothing left to give, when you feel like you are on your last leg, you aren't. You have more strength than you realize, and you can get through this, and you will get through this. Just keep doing the program, keep sticking with it, keep believing in yourself, and I promise you guys, you will see a difference.
All right. Cool. So that was what Leah sent to us, and she joined our program. Let's see, not duplicate that, sorry. Several years ago, actually. And so now she and her husband have had 2 more children since then. She's expecting her 3rd. And they say that the affair was the best thing that ever happened to them, because they were able to address those issues that they had in their marriage for years that led up to the affair. And that now they are truly, truly happy in their marriage again. So that's what this looks like. Scott just did an interview with us on our Thriving Marriage podcast. I encourage you to check it out. He shares how he dealt with alcoholism, and that had led to his wife wanting to leave when he came to us at the end of December. He said, I would not be able to withstand this current world crisis if I had not wanted something completely different than what I had only 3 months ago. My wife is an amazing individual, my soulmate, and I'm so fortunate to still have her. Our strengths have been tested over and over again throughout the years. The difference is now I don't feel like a victim. So let me know in the chat, guys, how good would that feel to have this? To go from where Leah was, which is really like one of the worst situations ever, like so on that end of the spectrum of he's in love with someone else, he's going to go make a family with another woman. And she was able to not just work on herself, but change her stories, or her husband's story about her so that she could get him back, right? He says, great, that'd be amazing to turn things around, to Scott and Leah's story. Sydney says, I'd love that. Stephanie, it'd be great, but it does not seem possible. I understand that that's where you're at. Like what Leah said, if you do these steps and you follow them, then there is more hope than you could have possibly imagined. All right. Now, in addition to doing one-on-one coaching sessions, we also do weekly masterminds. This is where you meet over Zoom, just like we're doing here together, but in a very small group so that you get to work with your coach throughout the week whenever you need to. Okay, because maybe you had your coaching session and the next day you had a big blow up, or you felt like you slid back into some old patterns, or your spouse does this thing and you're like, oh my goodness, what do I do? So you get on a session with us in the weekly mastermind and you get help with a coach right away. We don't want to leave you hanging. We're really in the trenches with you, supporting you every single step. And we give you that feedback. Okay, you did this. Now here's the next thing to say to them. Here's the next thing to text them. Here's how to get out of the fear and the pain that you're in so you can be calm and centered. Everything that we talked about in this path process, right? Another cool thing is that you get to learn from people like Leah that have gone through the program. They're further ahead of you and they say, I've been where you are, Elizabeth. I've been where you are, TM. I've been where you are, John, Romero, Sandra, Sarah, Paul, Miriam. I've been where you are. Just keep going. Trust the process. And eventually you will become the senior student and you'll be able to support other people that are going through the journey as well, which is really powerful and it's incredible. Miriam sent this. She said, feeling very thankful to be on this program as I've made great improvements in my own life, which have helped in every aspect of my life, not just working on building my relationship back up. But note that she didn't just work on herself, right? She worked on her marriage first and did both at the same time, right? Because you can't just work on ourselves and hope it's going to work out and hope our spouse notices. No, we need to make our spouse notice right away so that they want to stop the affair, the separation. Okay. So we do that, the one-on-one coaching sessions, the masterminds, and 27 video trainings. We give these to you as exercises that you need to do to know exactly what next steps you should be taking. Each video training has an action item exercise for you to do. Like I said at the very beginning, my friends here, it's not about information, it's about transformation. So what do you guys think you need more of? Let me know in the chat. Do you need more information or do you need more transformation? I know for me, I honestly was bombarded with information. There were so many different opinions. Do the love dare, do the 5 love languages, do this, do that, right? Work on yourself. And none of it really had the result that I was looking for. So information, Kim says, yep, that's fine. Sometimes you do need to know what the information is. Eric says both. Awesome. John says transformation. Jane says transformation. So that's exactly what we do. John, I'm not sure. I have transformed and info overload. And so what you need is that clarity of the simple steps to take. Step by step, we climb the mountain together. Jason, transformation. Good. So the client-only video trainings come with that, the weekly masterminds and the coaching. Kelly sent this. I just barely got started with the program, and last night my husband, who had been involved with another woman for almost 2 years, I was unaware but knew something was horribly wrong, asked me to renew our wedding vows as soon as this pandemic is under control. And they did have that with the pastor. Now, note here, this was at stage 3 for her, the ceasefire stage. And then she had to go through that final battle, and we helped her to navigate all of those tests that her husband put her through so that now they're both working on the marriage together. That's part of the process there, right? So in addition to the video trainings, the masterminds, the coaching sessions, we also give you a bonus SOS call, which is something that you can use at any time to get on with a coach immediately to get solutions fast when you need the most. Because like I said, there's going to be some really hard points in the journey. It's like the ups and the downs, the back and the forth, the tug and the pull, right? And we help you to get to that really calm, centered place, emotionally process through things and determine what the next best steps for you are. Cool. All right. Now I want to ask you a question, put in the chat. If all of this was any of these things, if all of it did was get you peace of mind so you could sleep at night, so you could sleep with peace and not be up late at night worried about this and waking up with anxiety, but you could actually sleep with peace and wake up with peace. If all of it did was do that, would it be worth it? If all of it did was help you open up communication with your husband or your wife so you could finally understand each other, would it be worth it? If all of it did was give you the ability to heal the pain you feel so that you're happy, because you deserve happiness right now. Not happiness later, not happiness when the marriage is restored, but happiness now. Harmit says it's worth it, of course. And I laugh about this one. And Stephanie says, yes. Jason, okay. Sleep and function at work. Exactly. John, yes, it's worth it. And I laugh about this last one, but it's true. Save $30,000 or more in divorce, attorney, real estate, and child support. Would it be worth it? That's the worldwide average, right? So save you that, losing the business, losing the house, et cetera, save you all of that. Would it be worth it? And 10, well worth it, all caps. I love it. Awesome. Sydney, yes, I will go into that here in just a minute. You say, yes, it is worth it. Awesome. So you have two choices. We always have our choices. First option, you can do nothing. You cannot take advantage of this opportunity. You can go back to doing everything you've always done, and you can take that route and hope that your spouse notices and hope it works out, right? You can do that. The other option is you follow the path process. We're going to talk about the investment here in the program, into getting the coaching and to doing this in your marriage today, so that then your spouse notices immediately the changes that you're making and immediately wakes up to feel safe with you immediately and see the possibility of being happy with you. And as we work to restore it fully, okay? Here's the bad news though, before I go into the details of the program. And like you said, I'm going to talk about exactly what the program, the packages are that I have for you, the cost, everything, full transparency, and we'll go into Q&A. But I do need to let you know there's some bad news. We are a small but growing company, and we do limit the number of clients that we help each month. So we deliver the best results for you. It's for your best benefit, right? That we're there for you throughout this entire thing. And we only accept 12 new clients each month. And we've had about, I think, as of yesterday, 8 or 9 join. We had several just join yesterday. And so there's only truly a few spots left, and we will cap it when it's full, because we want to make sure that we give you guys the best support possible so you get the fastest results humanly possible.